What's up, guys? It's a good song. All right, what's up? My name is Tara Devlin. Thank you for hanging out. I feel like the camera's a little low, a little high, a little low. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tarabuster Tuesdays, everyone. We meet here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Hopefully, in the future, there'll be more shows. Keep on supporting the Political Voices Network and Tarabuster and, me, this show and all that, and all the other talent on the Political Voices Network. And, we can have a daily show at a set time one of these days. I'm not getting any younger, right? I need a haircut. I need a hair dye, I guess. Who cares? Right? I'm getting less, I don't know, concerned about my appearance. And when did you stop trying? I heard in my head. No, I'm still trying a little bit. But, as you get older, who cares? It is what it is. All right, let's just get into it because we only have an hour. And, of course, I just always want to start the show by saying thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News, for all you do to keep the world, to make it a better place, and to keep this show going and growing, and your support of the community cats and all that. That matters, especially now in the middle of the winter. So check out APS Radio and APS Radio News, you guys. And, we could talk more about it in a little bit. All right. Where do I even begin? A lot going on. I named the show today Go MAGA, Go Broke, because so many things. Because it's like they're not just broke in the literal sense of economics. And if I have to hear another mainstream media pundit going on about how, the kitchen table issues, how that's what maggots are focused on, kitchen table issues. No, they've been focused on racism, right? That's it. They'll accept any, but now that of course the policies, Republican policies, always come down to roost. I'm just reading somebody's. I'm trying to read and talk. Somebody's Errol is telling me to get my hair done like Farrah Fawcett. I should. I need something at least. I should just get a wig and put it on. But okay, Republican policies always come down to roost in failure. And that is what we are witnessing. And this is what pisses me off, that it is a failure of the messaging of the Democratic Party. And if any of you guys are I'm a Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat. But if you know somebody, if you know a Democrat who is in the halls of power, if you're close to that, close to a staffer, a congressperson, whatever it might be, please tell them to listen to Tarabuster because we have the messages that they need to run with. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them getting off the hook for their stupidity. Now, how I'm going to start the show. I got this message or comment over on my page on the YouTube channel. When I get I see the comments that people put up on the Tarabuster YouTube channel. Sometimes you get maggots up there. And I found this really interesting. So this was for last week's show. As you could see, that was the Friday show. Donnie Two Dolls is $3 billion richer this year. And this person as you can see, Doc Robinson, 703, writes, God bless Donald Trump, and I hope he gets 100 billion Richard. I guess he meant richer. T-O. I hope that's not a real doctor. Doc. I hope they're saying doc for, I don't know, colloquially. I can't talk. That's just a nickname. That's a better word to use, not colloquialism. Okay. Let me start over. God bless Donald Trump, and I hope he gets 100 billion Richard too. And he meant T-O-O, obviously. So maggots are not very smart. I have more examples of that too. I hope you become the richest man or family in the world. What a great man. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, Stockholm Syndrome is a real thing. It's an amazing thing. Propaganda is real. And of course, both sides is another factor, because for a fact that they would never tolerate Joe Biden becoming $3 billion richer. I mean, this is another thing that gets me really irritated, that they for everything that they talk about, everything that they rail about, if only they were sincere. They drag us through their manias, whatever it might be, the outrage du jour, and they tickle every racist funny bone, all the unfair funny bones, Biden crime family funny bones, and if only they meant it, because here's the thing: Democrats are, we would be right on board if it was the Biden crime family. We wouldn't tolerate it. But they only seem to have a problem when someone has a D after their names. Crimes are only committed when the person has a D after their names. The hypocrisy is bottomless, and this person's text or tweet or comment, it shows us how much Republicans, how much we have fallen down on the job as a country, educating the American people, that they don't seem to understand that we, as Justice Louis Brandeis said, we have to make a choice. We can have concentrated wealth in the hands of a few, or we can have democracy, but we can't have both. They don't seem to understand this, maggots, because the Republicans have been successful redefining the American dream as you too can be a billionaire. It used to be you too can have a decent life, a decent middle class life, and get paid a living wage and decent working conditions, and retire in security. And that was the American dream. Now it's you could be a billionaire, and maybe if you become a billionaire, you can treat your fellow Americans like shit, just like the maggots at the top of at the economic ladder do now. And this person, God bless Donald Trump, what a great man. Give us an example. This is why propaganda is really, it is the reason we're in this boat. We have half the country watching and listening to right-wing influencers and right-wing media. That's, the influencers are funded by the Kremlin. The media is nothing but fake news. And we have a lot of stupid people in this country, and malinformed, misinformed. And the comment is absolutely pathetic to me, because we know. That's why I'm so sick of maggots. I'm so sick of Republicans, that they drag this country through their manias, and everything is angertainment, where these maggots, if they only had a consistency, if they were as outraged at Trump. You don't get $3 billion richer in 11 months, or, and I say richer with quotes, because he's not rich. He might be rich in monetary gain, but he's certainly not rich in any other way. He's not rich in decency. He's not rich in morality. He's not rich, clearly, in love. Nobody loves this scumbag except Stockholm Syndrome suffering dupes who, I guess, they like watching him annoy people. And that in itself is a sickness. And here's another thing, because, what was the whole Biden crime family thing about? Trump's personal wealth is clearly a grift. He's never made this amount of money in his life in any business he tried to run, from the multi-level marketing vitamin scam. I mean, he's not a very smart person. You know, he's not a good businessman. That's why he bankrupted a casino multiple times. So, you know, it takes a special kind of loser to bankrupt a casino again and again. You get $250 million from your daddy in your trust fund, and you bankrupt it over 6 times. So, you know, that takes a real genius to do that. You got to really try hard to lose that amount of money. And we know that he declared more losses than every other American taxpayer. So, he's not a very smart person. So what we can deduce from what we're watching, from the grifting, from the $3 billion in the last 11 months, is that he's a scam artist. He's using the office of the presidency for personal gain. And this is against the law. Not that it matters when you're a maggot, right? And it's absolutely disgusting. So if only they had the same outrage for Trader Trump as they do to anyone else. I mean, give me a break with the Biden crime family. How much? And they're still talking about it over on fake Fox News. They launched, remember? Well, I think, is it still going on now? A multi-committee investigation into the Bidens, right? In 2023. That's where Perjury Trader Green treated us to nude pictures of Hunter Biden. Because these people are sick. They always have. That's the other thing. I'm old enough to remember the Clinton, all that bullshit, the Starr report and all. They were so obsessed with looking at Bill Clinton's penis. They really wanted to describe it. They wanted it to be recorded in the historical record. They're very sick people, maggots. They're very concerned, overly concerned about what your people's peepees. And that in itself says, they're not emotionally capable of understanding what America is all about. They really aren't. So, I mean, I think are they still investigating? I should look that up. But the Biden crime family, they, of course, these investigations, they just waste time and money, Then these are the same people that are always crying about, taxpayer money, going to anything decent and good. If taxpayer money goes to science or the environment or investing in each other or helping other Americans, helping other people around the globe, that's too much money. That's taxpayer money. Ugh. The American people don't want to spend that money. No, they want to spend money investigating Joe Biden's not crime family. That they produced nothing, no evidence. Remember, but they don't need evidence. Just like Trader Trump said to Zelensky that he wanted him to announce, when he was using our taxpayer money as a means of extortion, to get Zelensky to announce an investigation into Joe Biden. He told him straight out, you don't have to do it. You don't actually have to conduct this investigation. You just have to announce it and leave the rest to us, right? Leave the rest to the filthy fascist Republicans, because they know how this game is played. And unfortunately, I think the Democrats maybe they're catching up now. Are they? Because I'm over it. I'm over letting the maggots off the hook. I was never on board with that anyway. Back in the day when they were teabaggers, when they, whatever else they called themselves, I was never on board with being kind and nice to them. Because what I believe is that, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And we have a duty, a patriotic obligation to pull these people's covers. They continuously and consistently vote for their own demise. And now they're waking up. Now, after, you wanted to own the libs. That in itself, the way that it was talked about on the corporate media about, they just want to own the libs, as if it was like a normal thing to motivate somebody. They want to own the libs. They want to trigger the libs. what is wrong with them? How about, fill in the blanks there? Willie Geist, because he would always talk about, they want to own the libs. Is that a normal way to be? Is that a normal way to make your political decisions? How about we as a society start naming and shaming this for what it is, a disgrace and a sign that the Republicans have no interest in a functioning society. They really don't. They want us at each other's throats. That's why they tickle all the fissures of disunity. They foam, and when there's none there, they make them up. So, and I'm tired of it. Over and over. I mean, like the Hunter Biden crime family. They say that Hunter Biden and some family members received millions from foreign-linked firms in Ukraine and China, and there's no evidence of this. Okay, a son of a president got a job on a board, was put on a board, and they're not an oil executive, right? If you want to, let's have that conversation about nepotism. But of course, that never, the sons, the family members of powerful people getting cushy jobs on boards of directors. That's of course, look at the entire Trump crime family. And Lauren Boebert's husband, ex-husband now, he was on a board of an oil company that he had no business being on. And he was being paid $750,000 a year to do nothing, to sit home and get drunk and harass his neighbors. So, yeah, and that's what they did. He let his kids run free, let them run wild out in the streets, committing vandalism on there and stealing, of course. One of Lauren Boebert's sons is already a felon, and she's a grandmother. And the kids would run riot all over the streets, and they can't even get along with their own damn neighbors. So and then he comes out drunk. I mean, these people have issues, okay? But the centerpiece, not that liberals don't have issues, of course. We all have issues, but we're not trying to, assume we don't work on them. We're not inflicting them on society. We're trying to make a country that works for more than just the 1%. Oh, and I see. Thank you, Jim, for being a moderator in the chat room. Keep crying, dummy-crats. Oh, wow. You better go take a nap, honey, right? I mean, what a scintillating commentary. And this is what I'm always saying about maggots. If any of them had anything interesting to say ever, or a comment that contributed to the conversation or explained why they're so filthy and ugly and small and tiny and stupid and so eager to own themselves, that's the problem. Then I think if they had anything to say, we would faint. We would absolutely faint. So here's another example of how dumb they are. So thank you for reminding me about that. What's his name in the chat? Canada 51st State 92. Ha 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 ha. How's the weather in Moscow, I wonder? It's cold here, where I am. Oh, but that means there's no global warming. Ha 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 ha. Right? That's what they say. Global warming is a hoax because it's cold. God, these people. One of these days, the history will not be kind to them, and neither will I. So, all right. So I came across this video on TikTok, and it said so much. I couldn't find the original. I think the lady took it down because she was probably embarrassed. Because when you hear it, you'll hear why. So somebody put this text across her face, but it doesn't really matter what she looks like. It matters how stupid she is. Listen to this.
Liberals just moved in next door, so I changed my Wi-Fi network password to Trump is your president.
I don't know. Was that too low? Could you hear that? Liberals just moved in next door. So I changed my Wi-Fi password to Trump is your president. Wow, you really owned the libs, dear. You really showed us what you are, who you are. And this, I when I saw that, I was like, wow, that really is a summary of what we're dealing with magotry. The maggots, you see, they think they're owning the libs, but they're really dumb, and they're loud about it. So that she goes on TikTok and she posts this video that now everyone has her Wi-Fi password, and that hurts themselves. She hurt herself by doing this. And then when she's, I suppose, learns that she's an idiot, probably because she receives some comments about it, she takes the video down. And but there you go. I'm sure it was some helpful liberals that told her, "Hey, honey, you're not owning the libs. You just gave the internet your Wi-Fi password, and because we don't see your password, right? So, who'd you really own, lady? Who did you really own?" And the thing is, this is what we're talking about. We're not trying to own these people. We're trying to get, just have a normal, decent society that works for everybody. Really, that's it. We're not trying to leave them behind. Not like them. You see, this is what we have to deal with these maggots and the Republicans who have turned this country into it's really the cold civil war. It's the truth, and that's why we have to win it with I'm not here to win the hearts and minds. I'm here to and even wake these people up. I don't know about that. I'm here to wake the people up who are at least somewhat receptive to it. But you don't do that with I don't believe, you could be kind about it. I just don't believe that you should be you should mince words either. And they really need to take responsibility for what they've done. So yeah, and they we have a lot of work to do thanks to them. The work is cut out for us. They could never, maggots, this Project 2025, these fascist bastards, these scumbags, that you want to own the libs. How about we start with owning, the ownership society? How about the people who actually own this country? They're the ones who are the problem. And that's why it's shocking but not unexpected to read a comment like this Trumpanzees post. God bless Donald Trump. I hope he gets 100 billion. Richard, T-O, the richest man or family in the world. For what reason? For what possible reason does one baboon, one tax-cheating, draft-dodging, wannabe dictator, serial bankrupt pedo in the Epstein files need to have billions and billions of dollars, need to own us? And it's so disgusting. Reading about him at Maramoron with Zelensky and Putin, him making making decisions in world events. How much longer are we going to take it? By less than 1%? What was it? A 1 point something, 3%? That's how much he won by. If all those Democrats who voted, the 6 million Democrats who didn't show up on election day, if they had gotten off their ass, we wouldn't be in this position. So this is really, it's a painful lesson. So But, and the thing is, it goes to show you what's really shocking, too, is that the Democrats, when you read the polls, how the Democrats have a low approval rating. And I've been saying it's not. And what's so sad about that is that in spite of, Trader Trump, I mean, he's got a lower approval rating than bed bugs. People prefer bed bugs over him. And but Democrats also have a low approval rating. And I believe that's because they are trying to be all things to all people, when you just have to be yourself. Like, you have to have the courage of your convictions. People want to vote for those who fight for them. They don't want somebody who sticks their finger into the wind and says, what should I say now? Just stay on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, and humanity, and stick to those guns, so to speak. And I think you will get support. Look at Bernie Sanders. I believe, right? He hasn't wavered his entire life because he's for real. He's actually trying to help people, unlike Trader Trump, who's actually trying to fill that gaping black hole of need and greed that will never be filled, because he's a sick person, very sick. So what do you expect, when you're sick? You can't make America great when you're not even good. You're not even a good person. So, yeah, there's all these articles now. And I wonder if it'll last, the regrets, right? Because here's the thing, he's in the Epstein files. He's a pedo. Okay? He told Perjury Trader Green, who's another one. I don't, I'm all for conversions, but she's a pretty sus as far as conversions go. Because Trumpanzees, they want you to judge them by what they say, not by what they do. And the last thing that Perjury Trader Green did, she's leaving Congress soon in January, and she sponsored the bill to hurt trans people on her way out the door that will kill people, so they could stick their filthy fascist Republican big government noses into your family's business and take away some vital tools to save your child's life. These maggots, they don't give a shit about that, about saving anyone's life. All they see is another opportunity to foment hatred against a targeted minority group and distract people. So, shame on you, Perjury Trader Green. But, she's talking about how she sees the light. She saw the light when at Charlie Kirk's memorial, because Trader Trump said, what did he said that he doesn't want what's best for his enemies. He doesn't want what's best for anybody. And I suppose that Perjury Trader Green realized that everyone's an enemy to a narcissist, to a malignancy. And you can't have somebody in a position of power like that who has that kind of immorality. I don't want the best for everybody. Look at Joe Biden. And we talked about it last time with the infrastructure bill. They said, why did you make the majority of the money for the infrastructure bill goes to red states? Why is that? And Joe Biden said, because that's where it's needed most. That's a Democrat. That's how Democrats run this thing. Govern. We believe in governing. We believe in government. Republicans believe in government too. They just believe in authoritarian government because that makes it easier to steal. And, these Republicans have, they really don't have the best interest of anyone at heart because they do so much more damage than just economically. The damage is to the bone. It's spiritually, it's morally, it's ethically. That's what they have robbed us of. They have robbed us of unity and decency. They have made selfishness the only American value. Owning the libs? When that's a thing that they can say, and the corporate media reports it just by way of explanation, well, they're doing it to own the libs, without any kind of judgment behind it. Shame on them. Shame on them for getting out of bed in the morning, going to vote to annoy your fellow Americans. Because what are you annoying them for? Because they aren't racist and you are, and you want to trigger them. You don't like that people are different. This is all about putting people in their places. You understand? It's symbolic annihilation, what they're engaged in. Anything that doesn't service the straight, white, rich, male power structure is a threat to it and must be destroyed. That's woke. That's DEI. It's completely right out of the authoritarian playbook, of course. But that's the agenda here. It's not about, this poor forgotten minority of straight, rich, white men who've been so oppressed. This is just another tactic to suppression against the people, against the majority of Americans. Because, asking Republicans for the years that we tried to bring out the best in them, right? We tried to encourage them not to be racists, to be decent. We had standards. You can't go, just like you can't go into the town square and get out your soapbox and step on top of it and start yelling the N-word without being arrested for disorderly conduct, right? Yeah, that you can't do that, but you could do that on Twitter now. And this is what Republicans want. They want everyone at each other's throats because America is, as written, as promised, is supposed to be the antidote to that. Yeah, I know. And all our hypocrisies in the beginning, we're trying. You're trying. You're moving forward. You're trying to make progress. But they can't do anything but drag us backwards. So I wish I was wrong. I really do about these people. But if I am, let me know in the chat. I mean, if you're a MAGA, you have a different point of view. Let me know what you think. Really, I'm not kidding. If you can say anything other than MAGA, or if you have anything intelligent to say, please, for the love of God, share it for once. For once, just for once, give it a go. Saying I voted for Trump because I thought it would be funny to see liberals growl like dogs. And that's normal. And I bet you, too, that they're Christian. That's the other thing. Everything that they talk about, everything that they proclaim to be is bullshit. I wish they were patriots. If they were patriots, do you believe a patriot would act like that? Because I don't vote for normal people because I want to see Republicans howl. That's for sure. Growl like dogs. I want them to have health care. I want them to have a living wage in decent working conditions. I want them to be able to go to a doctor when they're sick. I want them to be treated with decency and fairness in a society, in a modern society. If they want to go to school, and not come out of the school as an indentured servant to the bank for the rest of your life. I want that. I want your environment to be clean, and I want I want corporations to pay a fair share of the profits that your labor makes possible in the first place. I want corporations to pay their taxes. I want the billionaires to pay taxes so they don't balloon to the economic royalist status and swallow government itself. That's what I want. And therefore, swallow your freedom, your opportunity. And this is what they're doing. Republicans are dragging us back to the feudal stage, right? To the system of serfs and lords. I got mine, sucks to be you. Better luck next life. If you were born in your circumstances, because now in America, frankly, this is another disgrace. If you're born poor in America, you are more likely to remain poor than in all of our Western democratic partners in those countries. So we can say that the American dream is alive and well, but not in the United States anymore. And that's by design. That is by design of Republican policies. So, yeah, I hope, owning the libs keeps you warm at night, maggots. So here's some stories from BuzzFeed. 15 MAGA supporters who experienced some serious regrets. Ugh, look at this. Ew. Of course, it's one of my favorite places on Reddit. Leopards eating my face. But I think we have to, I don't know, there's a difference of opinions. I don't mind welcoming people into the fold, but it's like perjury, trade, or green. Are you for real? Words are words. Where's your action? Right? Like, look at this lady. I'm so anxious about this whole shutdown. My husband's a veteran using his GI Bill for school, which that's affected. And I mean, of course, I'm just reading what they're writing. They can't write, so they don't read. We get good stamps. I'm sure she meant food stamps. Since I'm disabled and he's in school, we have 2 kids. One is 2, and we're waiting to get her tested for autism. She's a picky eater, blah, blah, blah. I like this response. I think we talked about this on the show before. I do cook everything from scratch, and I've been adding rice and beans and noodles, blah, 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 to stretch it out. Plus, we're almost out of formula. He asked his mother to buy a can until a WIC comes in. Her response was, "We voted for this." Yes, that's right. That has to be your response, because how else are they going to learn? Really? We can't let them off easy. Look, I'm voting for Donald Trump for the economy, which is another fantastical, backwards ass thinking. For the economy. That's the other thing. All during the campaign, the corporate media kept beating this drum that Donald Trump is good for the economy because that's what people thought. Well, why don't you educate people? Yeah, I can only do so much on my little Tarabuster show. We were out here screaming about it, right, Jim? I mean, he remembers. Donald Trump is not good for the economy. How do you leave office with the worst jobs record since Herbert effing Hoover and a million corpses in your wake because you're that bad at anything? You suck at governing, and then, of course, we got the COVID crisis, and Trader Trump's like, oh, to the states, to the states. That's the only answer they have for everything. There's supposed to be a high-minded, political philosophy around that. But the philosophy is divide and conquer. That's the philosophy. And he wants to go golfing. I don't want to have to do anything. I want you to play Hail to the Chief when I walk through the room. I want to have my ass kissed. I want my little gold trinkets, my little... when he picked up that fucking medal like the Grinch who stole Christmas. It's pathetic. And he could put his name on everything. It will never mean that he's worthy of it. It's so disgraceful. And that's what's so disgusting about these maggots, too, with Trump. Somebody else, on one of the videos I put up, we were talking about the Trump putting his name on the Kennedy Center. And some maggot writes, oh, what does it matter? It's only a name. What does it matter? It's illegal. The Kennedy Center is a living memorial to a fallen president who was an advocate for the arts, not some Philistine, some baboon who defunded the arts, who wouldn't know art if it sucked Putin's balls in Macy's window, which is what Trader Trump wants to do. And that's, he's canceling National Endowment for the Arts and Humanities grants. But he puts his name. Oh, and what's even worse, the maggots have put another little addendum in one of these bills to rename the Opera House after trophy wife number 3. Because, she's such an opera lover. This softcore porn actress who got here on an Einstein visa. What was her skill? I could say some disgusting things right now, but I don't know. I'm thinking better of it. Yeah. I mean, come on, people. So I'm looking. I can't believe it. The show is going so quickly. It goes so fast. Because this is only an hour on Tuesdays. And yeah, here's another thing before we run out of time. Speaking of naming things, which makes me want to puke here. God, these people. I'd be interested to hear you guys if you have any friends who are maggots and if they're seeing the light. So yeah, here's something that makes me want to puke. Own the libs. Not that thing here. That makes me want to puke, but it's... Where's my eCam? Where is eCam? Come on, Safari. Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. There's technical difficulties. Look at this shit. From the Military Times. These maggots, they removed plaques honoring black soldiers in World War II from cemeteries. Because all over the world, we have fallen fellow Americans who gave their last full measure of devotion on the battlefield, fighting a fascist like Trader Trump, fighting someone who Trump admires. Hitler did some good things. This filthy fascist who began his career not just hating the Jews, although that was always there, but targeting trans people, just like the maggots do now, dividing people. I was reading recently another interesting story about it's not a story, it's the truth about the German Jewish organization that supported Hitler. I don't know if you've heard about them. And it just reminded me so much of all of these, when I see a black, maggot in one of those red hats. I don't know. I don't want to tell you. I mean, I could tell you what happened to that German Jewish organization, but I don't know if that'll ruin the surprise. It's really amazing. And we've discussed it on Tarabuster before, how there's many Jews voted for Hitler. There's contemporaneous accounts of Jewish businessmen saying, oh, well, for the economy, I'm voting for Hitler. So, but here's another example of maggots who hate America. And this is when I read that they've removed plaques and statues and any kind of honorific for people, for black soldiers in World War II. it makes me want to puke. I can't talk. Netherlands American Cemetery in Margaret. How do you pronounce that? Margareton. I know. I'm sorry. They quietly removed two informational panels that had honored U.S. black soldiers and explained segregation in the U.S. Army during World War II. The removal was carried out by the American Battle Monuments Commission, the U.S. federal agency that oversees American military cemeteries overseas. Not by Trump personally, of course, but this is on his orders, on this baboon's executive orders. Trump issued in early 2025. This is all the damage they're doing, and that can't be excused. They can't erase the what they've done. We have a lot of work to do when these maggots are legally and peacefully shoved into history's trash bin where they belong. Trump issued executive orders terminating federal diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, vowing in the executive order, our country will be woke no longer. Well, ain't that the truth, bitches? Yeah, we're asleep. We got a baboon maggot who literally falls asleep in the Oval Office. But all of this is temporary. Yeah, that's what I have to keep my eyes on the prize. I know, it's hard to believe. It's less than a year. What makes me sick is that that baboon, that's one of the first things I thought of when I saw that he had won the election by 1 point something percent, by a squeaker. Never forget, because this is the other thing. I'm sorry. It is the Democrats' fault. You have to constantly counter the lies. And just by way of conversation, say, not a mandate. When Trump won the election by 1 point something percent, not a mandate. Just say things like that. That's what the maggots do. That's what Republicans do. They repeat things, and they repeat the lie until it becomes, oh, I guess that's true. It's not, when it's not true. And I think the Democrats just believe that people will know things by osmosis. They'll just know that Trader Trump is lying. No, you have to unapologetically stand with the truth and tell the truth just by your way of conversation. So, yeah, when let me see, where is this? Anti-DEI directives, meaning the decision flowed from Trump's policies. But the fact that they're doing it, and it's very scary that the people that oversee the monuments are quietly removing monuments to soldiers. Let me show you some of these, what they did. Look at this shit. They are literally erasing. See, here's a black soldier. They took him out of the photo. See, as this person writes, in these images you see Dutch civilians returning home after being evacuated. The drivers of the vehicles were black Americans. At Margraten Cemetery, also known as the American Cemetery and Memorial, over 8,000 of our liberators lie at rest. Among them, 174 black Americans. But these plaques have been removed. The stories remind us that the fight against oppression had many faces, and that heroism knew no skin color. And that was one of the issues with the fact that we were living in a country that had these Jim Crow laws as we were liberating or helping to liberate Europe from fascism. And the Nazis used the Jim Crow laws of the South as a blueprint for the Nuremberg laws. And in fact, I remember reading things in just my study of history in general about black soldiers when they were in Paris or in France in general, and other countries, in European countries overseas. It was quite a new experience not to have to sit in a segregated restaurant, for example, or public transportation. And the American officers in the towns would tell the business owners to not be so nice to the black soldiers because we didn't want them to get used to it. Because when they went home, it would be quite a different story. That things would go right back to so-called normal. And shame on us, right? But this is the truth. This is not about woke. What they're doing is, it's called symbolic annihilation. And anybody who's not a straight, white, rich man is really being told to get in your place. Conservatism is the ideology of hierarchy. So that's why it attracts people who are fear-based and racist, of course, because they want everyone in their place. The whole the ideology is, once everyone knows their proper place, that's why they're always talking about what men should do, what women should do. That's why trans people are so threatening to them. Their newly discovered assaults on trans people, of course, are because they weren't getting the same result as attacking regular old gays anymore. And eventually it will be the same with trans people. And when history writes, our future generations write the history of this time, they'll look at the oppression of trans people in the same way as we look at the oppression of black people in the South during Jim Crow. Well, the way normal people look at it, I should say. I'm sure maggots long for the good old days. And that's a shame, really a shame on them. But this in general, I didn't hear that on corporate media, because there's so much going on, There's so much, the fire hose of news, just like, that's why Trader Trump is bombing boats. He's murdering people. He's having this meeting at Marimoron because he's in the Epstein files. It's one distraction after another. And I don't really want to know the answer to the question, how much more of a distraction is he going to make? But so, yeah, it is hard to keep up with all the news. But this is why, you would think the 24-hour news, the corporate media, could do things like this, could actually report what's going on. I haven't heard this once on, on the media, on any media. And of course, you're not going to hear that on Fox News, right? And one of the panels that was removed from the cemetery, these are people, these monsters, these maggots, turning these heroes who fought for America in spite of the oppression they personally felt, and in that they teach us everything, and they're trying to erase their sacrifice. They're trying to erase them. They took down the story of George Pruitt, a 23-year-old black soldier who died in 1945 trying to save a fellow service member from drowning. Why would you take that down? Because he's black. That's why. What's DEI about that? What's woke about that? Well, giving a shit about somebody else but yourself and saving somebody, because maggots want you to leave everyone behind. Oh, if you're drowning, oh well, find your bootstraps, buddy, booby. They leave you behind all the time. Metaphorically, people are drowning in this country all the time, drowning in medical debt, drowning from the affordability crisis that traitor Trump says is a hoax. They don't want you to care. Just keep it moving, bub. I don't know why. I guess that's why they're taking the plaque down. What else? Anybody else have a explanation for it? It doesn't make sense to me why you would take down a plaque that commemorates a soldier that saved another soldier from drowning just because he's black. It makes no sense, but there you go. It doesn't have to make sense. Racism doesn't make sense. Transphobia doesn't make sense. Homophobia, whatever, all those phobias, hating other human beings because of any kind of distinction without a difference, doesn't make any sense. But that's all they have. The American fascists can be easily recognized by their deliberate perversion of truth and fact. That's right out of Henry Wallace's letter, Vice President Henry Wallace's letter to the New York Times, exploiting every fissure of disunity. That's what the American fascists do. And unfortunately, we're being run by American fascists right now. And this is a disgrace. Does anybody approve of this besides filthy fascists? Besides racists? The big tent, the big Republican tent that we have now, which is the big tent of anti-Semites and regular old, KKK, the old style race, just all racists of all, and homophobes and transphobes. That's their big tent. They hate, everyone who's different. It's incredible. And it's sad because America is a nation of immigrants, but that's another thing they're trying to change. Maggots are literally redefining, just like they redefined the American dream. They're saying things like America is not a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of, what did one of these maggots say? We're a nation of missionaries. Yes, missionaries, meaning white nationalists. That's what that means. We're a nation of people. Forget the separation of church and state. We're a nation of people who shove their religion down everyone's throats and oppress the indigenous populations, I suppose. That's what it means to be, in the maggot point of view. Missionaries? And yet, that's another example. If only. Are they Christian? Is that a Christian? I mean, they don't ever follow the actual teachings of the Jesus they pretend to worship. So, yeah, and, there was Jesus who said that it would be easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than get into heaven, but the maggots want to remind us that they love that Trump is $3 billion richer, using the office of the presidency not to make them richer, because they're poorer in every single way. They're poorer morally, spiritually, ethically, and financially. But he's richer. He's only richer in money. He's not richer in respect or anything that actually makes life worth living. So that's how, guys, we got a lot of work to do. We really do. We certainly have it cut out for us, but at least we are in this together. And you know what? We will win. We will. Because we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity, My name is Tara Devlin. Thank you for hanging out. We're here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. on the Political Voices Network, and Friday we'll be there. Yes, Friday 8:30 on the Tarabuster YouTube channel. We got more to do. We got a lot of work to do. I do what I can on my little Tarabuster show. So thank you for the Political Voices Network, and thank you guys for, hanging out. Let's see. Let me see. If you can, follow my Substack. Okie dokie. That would be nice. Subscribe to my Substack. How's that? Tell your friends. Yes, see you over at Nicole's. Nicole Sandler show is going on now. So please, please, my friends. Oh, Michael, I made you cry? Me? Or are you talking about somebody else? Thank you. Thank you, guys. I love you too. I do. And I don't know what I would do without you. I'm sure I would certainly be very much more depressed. And yes, we will win. It is going to be a long 3 years. Hey, we made it through this, but hey, we should just keep taking notes of all the things we have to build again. That's what we do. That's what Democrats do. We build things and Republicans destroy them. So it's not like we don't have experience building things. So, okay, guys. Oh, thank you, Michael. I hope you're okay. Well, I hope all is well. Yes. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you, my friend. And Happy New Year, guys. I will, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, what do you call about? What am I trying to say? New Year's Eve is amateur hour, as we call it. So I don't really do anything on New Year's. I do a thing. I go to my Buddhist meeting on New Year's Day and try to start the year off right. I belong to the SGI, so it's a lay Buddhist organization, and I need it. Let's put it that way. So, all right, my friends. Thank you, my loves. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the Substack. Of course, remember, Charlie has his APS radio. You can listen to classic rock and oldies all day. You can just turn that on and make that the background music of your social event. You have classic rock and oldies or classical music. And then there's APS Radio News, which is a commentary channel. This show is on there, and there are other shows over there. So, and Charlie's just a great guy. He's one of us. One of us. We accept you. All right, my loves. Thank you for hanging out, and Happy New Year. We got a lot of work to do. Get rested. Get motivated, Keep it up. You got to rest sometimes too. Sometimes I just have to tune it out, But yeah, because it's going to get real up in this bitch. So it'll be fun. Hey, what are you gonna do? We live in interesting times, so we got to meet the moment. All right, my loves, I will see you soon.